This is breaking news. Breaking news. You get it first. You heard it here first on the Happy Hour podcast.
It's happening. It's happening.
Bro, it's happening. It's happening. It's happening. It's happening. It's happening.
Working at events since 2005, I've always been inspired by people coming together to share ideas. I'm Amanda Younger, and I'll be your host on Happy Hour, where I share a drink and a laugh with guests over stories and our hope for the future of the live event experience. Today I'm talking to Erin Diehl. She is the founder and chief edutainment officer of Improve It and host of the Failed It podcast. Of course, you can get those podcasts anywhere you can find Happy Hour, so that'll be easy for you to do. Special thanks to Loxamana Media, You Create, We Capture. Chris, love ya. Another special thanks to Ava for giving me the opportunity to try Smuggler's Notch Distillery. It's a straight bourbon whiskey infused with pure Vermont maple syrup, and it's perfect for an after-dinner drink, over ice or in a cup of coffee like I do today. Be sure to continue the conversation with us online at eventspeak.com. Subscribe on Apple and Google Podcasts. Follow us on Spotify and iHeartRadio, and favorite us on Stitcher to get all upcoming episodes and help others find our show. Be sure to comment below. We love as much feedback as possible in our early stages, and a promotional giveaway is in the works, so check back in soon. Together, we can make the difference in live event. Because what we're doing is a little early, so I have a little coffee here, but it's like an Irish coffee, but it's already blended, so now it just looks like I have brown milk. But really, I have and a wonderful shout out to Ava, who is a fantastic 10-year-old, almost 11 when this airs. Anyways, she was fantastic enough to get me a little taste of this Vermont maple bourbon whiskey from the Smuggler's Notch Distillery in Vermont. So thank you so much, Smuggler's Notch Distillery, and thank you so much to Ava, because now I'm having it with this coffee, and I think that's going to be delicious. And this is how I'm starting my day with you, Erin.
Thank you, Amanda.
Tell everyone who you are, what you do, and what you're drinking for happy hour.
Well, it is so early, so I am having coffee. And there is no alcohol. I don't have an Ava, okay? I am sad about this.
Oh, man.
I want an Ava. I don't have an Ava, so I'm doing coffee with some crema in this cool mug from my parents' house.
I love it.
Cool.
So, Erin, we actually met on the road. We did promotional tours, I think, for the same company. And then we always kind of like ran parallel and would be at the same event venues and campus spots. But I think you were doing something a little bit more. I think you were actually like getting kids to move and shake their rumps. And I was trying to get them to buy things.
Yeah, and that is an accurate description, because can we say the company? Can we say the company's name? Because it was Mr. Youth.
Mr. Youth, yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Youth. So yeah, I was working with the tween population, and it was a campaign from the CDC called Verb. It's what you do. And it was a whole yellow ball campaign to get kids physically active. Yep. We were passing out yellow balls at events. It was crazy. And I was the MC. But then you and I met. So I did that. And then that brought us to, I believe it was Neutrogena on the beach. Yes,
Florida.
Panama City. Yeah. And we lived there for a month, and it was like the best commute ever. This is my memory of Let me tell you my favorite memory. So it was the best commute ever. You know, we would go to all the local bars and stuff at night for seafood, and like I got my love of oysters. But my favorite, Amanda, favorite memory is we would have to take shifts because we had a tent set up on the beach for Neutrogena. And so it was like, when, spring breakers would come by, we would try to bring them into this like oasis, and we would have to watch the tent before sundown because some of these drunk spring breakers would come pee on the tent, and we all had shift. We had shift pee, or we had shifts for the pee watching. So
pee security.
Pee security. Thank you. That is the name. And you would come down on my pee security shift and sit with me. And I just remember one time there was this one guy, and we were like, we heard it like it was like rain, and it wasn't rain. I was like, is it raining? And you said no. And then you and I both got up and you were like, no.
Kidding you. Fred, don't pee here. Stop it.
So that I remember really, really vividly.
I think there was even an obstacle course, because I think there was like the Navy or the Army, I forget which one. And they had an obstacle course, and which was fine during the day because people were watching it. But if you were on security duty and you were just trying to make sure that people didn't do things in the tents or pee on the objects, it was also just trying to get them to not do an obstacle course in the sand at night when they're drunk.
Right.
So you were just kind of like, hey, you should come back during the day and do this, and then you might get a prize. But maybe let's not do it now, and you might hurt yourself. But we can't pull up all of this stuff because it's heavy. We're near the zip line. Stay away.
Stay away now. It was honestly, that is probably one of the hardest jobs ever, is just making drunk people be rational, like. So I think we deserve like a medal for that. Probably it was hard, guys. It was rough.
It was difficult. It was
hard.
We lived a spring break life, but like as the parents.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is it. That is it.
So for like 6 weeks, we're out there and everyone's like, yeah, spring break. And you're like, well, I want you to think about your actions.
Right.
Consequences.
Right. When you come in this booth, you have to sign a liability waiver because
you sign here, and here.
Yeah, here.
Tie-dye shirt. Let's make one, shall we?
Let's do it. Or what? Here's a sink. Wash your face for the first time this week. I don't know. And maybe your grimy hands. That honestly was so fun because it was the commute in the sand was the commute to work. I'll never forget that. I was like, this is where I belong. I am a mermaid. Okay. This is that. I'm going to have a sip of my non-alcoholic coffee.
It was also fun because if you actually think about it, we were maybe 3 or 4 years older than they were. And we were already like college kids. Ridiculous.
We would just like go to dinner, all of us, and sit around and complain about these people that were literally like our younger siblings' age.
Yeah, that's all they were. They were not that far in age. And we were like, oh my God, grow up.
Yeah. And then we would also go and have mini beverages at night. So, happy hour! It was a fun time, Amanda. I'm not going to lie. I loved it.
I did too. As a matter of fact, I enjoy telling people that I haven't seen 2 states, and it's North Dakota and Alaska. And it is because events sent me cross country on a regular basis where I saw like amazing things and did amazing stuff and met strangers on college campuses and was like, hey, how about Sirius Satellite Radio?
Girl, I know. We have.
And then I'm like, oh, the Grand Canyon. Click.
It's and I would see you when you would come to Chicago, and then also, I mean, that truly, I think if anybody like in their younger age is like, what, I don't know what to do with my life. Mm-hmm. Look at doing tours for a marketing agency. Like it was so fun.
People.
Yeah. Don't do it during COVID. Maybe not right now. Don't do it now. But it was truly, like you said, I don't know how, I have not seen New Hampshire and I've not seen Alaska. So those are two. But I mean, with Mr. Youth, we did road trips from LA to Boston. We did, and then it was also like New York to Texas. And so it was just, it was a really cool opportunity. And you gotta live out of a suitcase. Be okay with some economy lodges and just embrace it. But it was, I mean, I wouldn't know you.
Ta-da!
Ta-da! Here she is.
You also really get to learn how to live with people, like all people.
Yeah.
So, and also live with a lot of extroverts as well, because it's like a lot of people that love people, and then you're used to turning it off when you go home. But when you live on the road with everyone, there's no turning it off, because now you're still competing with that extrovertness, and you pass out because you're just so drained by the end of the day, and you got to wake up and you got to do it, and you're like, okay, who's the happy one? No one. Well, it's the third month.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Well, and you know what's interesting is, like, I'm in my late 30s now. Like mid to late.
I don't know.
But back then, I really don't think I even focused on energy, conservation. I think I am an extrovert. You are too. That's why we did what we did. But now, somehow it changed in this line of work. I literally am like, I think I'm becoming introverted. And I said that to my husband's name is John. I said it to John, and he said, no, you just burn out and you need to recharge. But I don't think in those days that I realized I needed that. And I just would keep going and going and going. And then you're on the road for 3 months at a time with these people. You come home and you're just exhausted. But you're right. Even during the day, you go do events during the day, and then you're like, okay, well, where are we going to go eat? And then you eat dinner together. There's still on, no television watching. And back then we didn't have Netflix or shows on our phones.
It was like, what's on HBO? I don't care. Let's go over to the pool. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. We never stopped talking, ever.
It's true.
Ever. So true.
Can you believe today? Can you believe them? Can you believe that? Oh my God. What do we have to do tomorrow? Well, we have to drive at like 4 a.m.
I know.
Okay, cool. All right. Love you. Bye.
And then it's like, I mean, we're pulling. It's not manual labor.
Picking up things, making a tent.
Yes. Tents. We made so many tents. I mean, I remember, and then I remember on that spring break, we had to put the tent flaps down every night, and those were disgusting because we would have to move those, and those were the things that people peed on.
That was what people peed on.
That was it.
And we had a hose out there. We had to hose it all down.
Yeah. Man, this is bringing up some memes.
Everyone really needs to start peeing in the ocean when they're...
Yes.
Like, please, go to the ocean. Pee there. That's where the fish go.
Yeah.
Cold. I don't want to.
It was so much pee on a tent. So much pee on a tent.
I know. Oh, well. Well, so that's where we've been.
Hard turn.
I mean, actually, the whole I mean, we're not here to talk about this podcast. We're here to talk about yours, but basically, the concept of this came from those times on the road. But you have gone from doing events, you started to do, of course, you've been doing improv and stuff, and you've been doing workshops for business leadership tools and stuff like that. Tell me, how did you go from there to there? How did you go from verb?
It's what you do. Yeah.
To hey,
yellow ball.
Let me teach you skills.
Well, no, I was trying to think of something funny to say. It just happened. I think, okay, so if I'm looking back at the trajectory of what we're talking about here, it's absolutely correct. I think we were young. We were in our early 20s, late mid 20s, and we were figuring out our lives when I was doing Verb, and we were on the road. I have a highlighter in my hand. I don't know why I'm holding this, but let me highlight something. It's time to highlight these highlights. So long story short, I knew I loved people. I knew I loved working with people. When I would get off the road, I would go and do sketch and improv in Chicago. I lived in Chicago, paid rent in Chicago, never really lived in Chicago that often because I was on the road for basically 5 years. So it was a love that I had of improv. And eventually it was if I'm being honest, a call to get off the road because I had just been going for so long.
Yeah.
I met a guy.
Oh, it happens. Fall in love, want to start.
Oh, man. Yeah, he's like now my husband or something. But we were dating and I just was gone all the time. And I wanted to be there. So I took a job at a recruiting firm to do my 9 to 5-ish, which allowed me to go back and do comedy at night. And really basically then I was working 2 full-time jobs. And so everything I learned on what's it, huh?
Working on you.
Working on me. But it was, I think for me, I've loved people. I love improv. It was, I love being on stage. I know you love comedy, Amanda. It was just this like marriage of everything, because if I look at what Improve It is the name of our company, we do professional development. We use improv comedy to train on soft skills. So if I look at like the puzzle of my life, and all the things I've done, events are what I do. So I have that logistics side, helping to plan these workshops. And it's B2B. So we work with corporate, anything Fortune 100, 500 to mid to small size business. And so we plan these now virtual, but used to be pivot events. And so like my career in events was so beneficial because I saw so many different types of events, knew what worked, from guerrilla marketing to, you stand outside on a college campus and try to get people come interact with your tent or your brand. Like you could basically talk to anybody, do anything. And so it was those skills too, of just leveraging how, connecting with people, connecting with your audience. And then the job I did 9 to 5 was recruiting. So that helped me. I did business development and recruiting. So then I learned how to build relationships and sales. I learned how to do business development and how to recruit. So literally all of those skills married together helped me today and Improve It, because now I know I work with brands, which is what I did before. I was like a brand ambassador, if you will. And now I help those brand ambassadors be the best brand ambassadors they can be.
What actually inspired you to just start your own company? Because I find that a lot of entrepreneurs, they all had a day job and they said, they could do more or whatever, and then they go off on their own. What was that moment for you? What's that trigger moment that made you go like, I can do this?
Man, oh God. Can I be honest with you? Part of
Good.
I think I should. I failed it. I need some Baileys in this coffee. No, I will give you the truth serum without the serum.
You want to lie? Give me a good lie.
I'm going to give you 2 truths and a lie. No,
okay.
Okay, ready?
Everyone at home, figure out what's the truth.
Yeah. Oh my God. So basically it was, I knew when I started doing the events on the road, that was a prolonging of me not wanting to be held down by the man, if I'm being real. You feel me? It was like, I said after I graduated, first of all, I was supposed to be a talk show host. Okay. So still Oprah. That's why I moved to Chicago. I was supposed to be Oprah. So I took these tours and kept doing them because it was always changing. It was something different. I didn't want to feel tied down. I don't know if that makes sense. Like I just I don't like being told what to do. If that is, I know that's awful. I've realized that about myself. And I knew that corporate life would not fulfill me and what I love doing. And so that was, after 5 years on the road, I thought I learned enough. I got burnt out. I'll be honest. I was like, I need a room and like some closets that are my clothes, and maybe just, I don't want to live out of a suitcase right now. And so, so that was that. And then it was, when I started really doing the job in recruiting and then doing comedy at night, everything was spilling over that I was learning on stage into my professional life. And I just saw the marriage of the two. And I don't think as a young kid, I ever dreamed of being an entrepreneur. I wanted to literally be a talk show host since I was 12 years old. Like I wanted, and I had nothing to talk about. I just love people. I wanted to help them. So improv became my vessel and my talk show essentially for how I can help people. And what it does is it just breaks down barriers and allows people to rip off their masks, if you will, but keep the real ones on right now. Okay. Right. And it allows people to just be, like from nose down, keep that on, and just the don't have metaphorical masks. Right. No chin warmers. No. What does that do? What is here to here? Anyway. So, long story short, that was it. It was, I wanted to help people use improv. And I think I've always been like a dreamer, and I knew somehow I thought in my heart and in my gut, I knew it will work. And there was a part of me that said, if you don't do this, will you regret it? And the answer was yes. And so I went into it full force and been doing it now really since 2000, like really, really full time since 2015, but 2014 is when we launched. So 6 years of planning, 5 years of executing, and I guess I'm still going.
I love it. I love it. This is amazing. And then, so I know, and so you've built your business, you created a formula, you're doing workshops, you're helping people, and a pandemic comes in, and the community, the live community that you've built up, or at least the template that you've created, goes out the window. And you have to go digital, you have to pivot. And then of course, you started to become a content maker. I know, well, I listened to your first episode of Failed It podcast, which everyone should listen to, especially to kind of hear this question. And that's, tell your listeners why you did that pivot and what they can expect from Failed It as this content maker.
Gosh, that is the first time I've ever been called that. That feels new. And so I'm going to take it in. Thank you. But so yes. Okay. So Improve It is, virtual is now virtual. So is the business. And so we had this. When March came, I'll tell you this, I literally thought it was done. It was almost as if in 5 years I hadn't processed what was built. And like you said, reflection, and that was what it was. In 5 years, I just kept going and going. And it almost was as if I hadn't stopped. It was almost as if I graduated high school and I was looking back at my yearbook and looking at all the things I had done. And I hadn't done it in 5 years. I mean, I just kept thinking ahead, and I never really stood back and said, we have created this beautiful community. I have 25 facilitators in Chicago and between Chicago and Charlotte. They're the funniest people. They are the kindest, they're all improvisers and professionals. So they have to, all of them were on stage at all the major theaters in Chicago or in Charlotte. I mean, they're just great human beings. So to like know that this is the people that have joined our company, and then my internal team of 4, actually 5.5 women, one is part-time, and not waist up. She's a real person.
Oh,
but
okay. Just half a person comes.
Just a half a person. Yeah.
That's rude.
Yeah. Yes. Just nope. She's but part-time. But no. So I look back at it and thought, man, these people are amazing, and we have worked with so many great clients. I mean, from Motorola Solutions, Walgreens, the Obama Foundation, Pepsi, like we've got great clients. And also in between, I'm not even mentioning half of them. Like they're all fantastic people that we get to work with because these people care about their employees. Mm-hmm. So as you said, it was reflective. And then I had can I swear on this thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I had an oh shit moment, and I've never been as stressed as I was in March and April. I literally was like, I've built this amazing thing. I cannot let it go. How do we pivot this? Mm-hmm. So the podcast is called Failed It. You can see it on any type of place you see podcasts, like Happy Hour. And it was a work in progress prior to the pandemic. Mm-hmm. We had recorded episodes prior to the pandemic happening that we were going to use to launch. And I just pushed those 4 back and said, no, we need to talk about what is going on. That first episode you listened to is all about how I feel as a leader during COVID-19. And it's a real portrayal. Failed It was born out of the expression in improv. There are no mistakes, only gifts. And so we think that on stage, anything that happens, it's not a mistake, it's a gift. It becomes part of the scene. So if you look at your life, the fails that you've had in your life are not actual fails. They can be used as gifts because they get you to this other place. So it's telling that story of my own failures, but also failures of successful people, and then how they've gotten where they are, but not through like, I went to Harvard and then it's like you sucked real hard somewhere and figured out the next steps. And I want to know that part where you sucked. And let's talk about that. And it's very vulnerable, but so the content creation piece came from that. And now because just the timing of it, I can't even tell you how the universe worked for me in this, because we had rebranded, starting in January, we were rebranding and also putting together a new website because our website was ancient. I mean, my husband built it in 2013. He's never built a website before.
Beautiful. It's beautiful right now. I love it.
Okay. Thank you. That was new. So that was happening. Okay. And then
good job. You're improving it.
Thank you. Failed it before, improving it now. But it was really like all of this was supposed to happen. Like we were going to get a new website. We were going to have the podcast come out, and we just pivoted everything we did in person online. Thankfully for Zoom, we use Zoom breakouts to do our workshops because we can still do activities that way. So literally we had 11 offerings in person. We just figured out how to, we barely tweaked any activities. We kept the messaging the same and we moved it all online. And thankfully, because the world is virtual, it's been working. And the podcast is another just tool that I'm loving doing on a personal note. It's a passion project. And now I guess the content stuff. And I was like, we were talking about this before. I hated being on Instagram. I was like people who talked on Instagram stories to themselves and to camera. I was like, you love yourself. And now, I am that person.
Here I am. Here I am.
Peekaboo. Hey. So
hugging a bear.
We need to I'll do that on a story. But anyway, it's been quite the journey. I'm digressing. It's so crazy what has happened in a year. Not even a year, 7 months.
Well, I love what, and people should tune in because, and it's a weekly podcast, but I find that you're doing 1 week it's like a 20 to 30 minute workshop where you're actually giving people advice and business tools and skill sets. And one thing that you had talked about that I was also given the advice of is I have a Post-it on my computer, and it says, you can't manage anything you can't control.
Oh,
Manage your behavior, not numbers. And that's just, as an event producer, the numbers are going to come in. You've planned as much as you can. You can only do so much. So manage your reactions, manage, your actual behavior, because that is what you can control. And it will snowball to your staff. It will snowball to your business. It'll snowball with everything else around you. And you're going to work with it. You're going to work with whatever outcome happens. And I know that you also talk about that. And then so you give people certain skills, which I think are wonderful. And I have been listening and I have been following, and I hope people find you more. And then the next week you have like a 40 to 50 minute podcast that is not just those skills, but involves like an actual interview with someone who I think most of them are a little reluctant telling you their failures, because they're kind of built on, I think we all are, we're built on telling people our successes. And people only see that, and either it, is supposed to motivate them. They can be a success story too. But for a lot of people, it makes them go like, oh, wow, I can never be that great. Oh, wow, they're so awesome. I have to settle for less because that's not who I am. And I think what you're doing is you're humanizing these big stars, right? So someone, a mentor and someone that you look up to is able to say, oh no, it took a lot to get here, and that's okay. It's okay to fail. It's okay to do something wrong. The right thing to do is to get back up. The right thing to do is to learn from it. The right thing to do is to keep going. And I think that's something that that your podcast teaches, but I think more importantly, your interviews are teaching others. So I applaud you for that. And then also kind of like going back and forth, and like the next week it's like, well, let me tell you a little bit more about, being a little bit more Beyonce.
Yeah. She comes up a lot. I mean,
comes up a lot. I think she's your little spirit animal, a little Beyonce.
I know.
Little Sasha Fierce.
Little Sasha Fierce. Yeah, no, for real. I love you so much for listening. Thank you. I really, really appreciate that. And you're not wrong. I mean, so when you were saying that, two things I was thinking about was, one, when your Post-it note, I absolutely love that, because that's one of the things I talked about in that first episode, is you can control two things, your attitude and your effort. And I will tell you, in March, I wanted to get under my covers and just drink that bottle that Anna.
Yeah. Ava got me this one.
Ava. I don't know why I said
but Anna's her mom, so.
Oh, look at me, just knowing stuff.
You got it.
Got it. All right. But yeah, I truly was like, I'm going to drink all the fermented grapes, and I'm going to but you can't, because as a leader, you have people who depend on you. And I take that really seriously. And then also I'm a mom, and I have to provide for my family. And like, there was just so many things that I wanted to do that I couldn't. And so you have to control those things. And it's so interesting to the point that you made too about the guests and their vulnerabilities. I will say it's been interesting, because in order to say yes to being a guest, you have to be willing to be super vulnerable. Yeah. We've had two, I will say Brad Chandler, he is, do you know who Rachel Hollis is? She wrote the book, Girl, Wash Your Face. She's got Girl, Stop Apologizing. She's a big online guru. Yeah. He's her right-hand man. And so he came on, and his story is real and it's raw, and he gets like real. It's one of my favorite episodes because of how real he gets. And then another woman, Jay Brown, she's the head of HR at this company, Hub International, and we talk about crucial conversations in corporate America about racial injustice. And that episode is fire. I mean, she's dropping so much knowledge and is real about the Black Lives Matter movement and her experience being a Black woman. So it's, I've also learned how to interview, I think, a little bit better, and just like when I hear them say something, I'm going to go like, boop, like Oprah, like I'm going to boop and just dig a little bit more.
Good.
But it is to talk about your failures is hard. And I think it's just, you got to be willing. And I, there's this saying, I did not make it up, but we teach from our scars, not from our wounds. And so I think if somebody's going through something at the time, for them to come on the podcast and talk about what they're going through is a lot harder, because that wound is still open than if you're talking about it after it's happened and you've processed and moved on. And I think what we're all doing in 2020, and Jay talks about this on our podcast, is we are all processing and learning and teaching from our open wounds every single day, because COVID hit and there's just been so much emotion. No matter who you are, you have your own COVID story. And then Black Lives Matter happened. Well, not happened. It just became the forefront with George Floyd's death. And I mean, that right there, Jay says so many great things, and I don't want to botch anything she says, so I'm not going to try to repeat it, but
it's not a problem. She's going to listen in on it anyways.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Love you. But yeah, it's just interesting. It's like, I think that for me, I love to hear people's stories, and I'm always trying to learn from them, but I don't want to hear there's no testimony without a test. Like, I want to hear what sucked for you, because we all have moments that suck.
Happens all the time.
Right. Like our pee on the tent. Like, that was our life. It sucked for a minute, but it was also very fun.
Well, what was your best part about working at spring break? Telling people not to pee, but it was really like those connections with each other. And you're right. We haven't had time to heal. I think just on a personal level, with ourselves and where we are in all of this. So we're all kind of in this together and scared together. But I think it's podcasts like yours where people are gathering and really talking about solutions. So I think with that, I wanted to ask, what has been the expectations and hopes for you? You've been talking to leaders, you've been listening to your audience. Of course, they've given you amazing feedback this season. What are your expectations? More importantly, what are you hoping for the future of public gatherings and connecting?
Yeah. So great.
A lot.
Great. That's a lot, but I got some answers. So real quick, I think for the future, just personally here with Improve It, like, I want to continue with the Failed It podcast. I have very big dreams for how to continue with that and serve our community. And one of the things that that I thought of while you were talking was, during this time, same thing. We're in-person events. Our whole business model was in person with community and gathering, because improv is all about being together. And there was no way it could ever work online, is what I thought before March. Honest to God, if somebody asked me to do this in March, I would have said, no, but it totally works. And the one thing my team and I did as we were trying to figure out this first pivot, and I'll tell you, there's been variations of the pivot. We're on about pivot 6.0, is that we said, what can we offer the world right now? What does the world need? What can we offer? And what improv does is it is, number one, it's an inclusive sport, if you will. Everybody who is involved in an improv scene, they are, the wonderful thing about a great improv scene is that includes everybody. And so the activities that we do on now virtually are all about making people feel heard, making their voices feel heard. So number one, continuing to use our platform and our of improv to help with diversity and inclusion and making more cohesive workspaces virtually, but also what could we offer? We said it's positivity and light. That's what we have. That's who we are. So we're going to give that and so it starts with a place of making sure we are in that position. So taking care of us so we can give it out to our community and the people who we serve. But I mean, what do I expect? I mean, I'm going to be real. I've decided that I'm not going to even think that events are coming back until 2021 summer. Like even that's like as soon as I'm letting myself think that. And so I'm just leaning into this virtual world. We had we called it our workshop from home membership. It was the first time we ever did something like that. And it was great the first month of May. We had like 40 people. Next month we had like 20 people. This month we had like 8. And I said, guys, it was a core 8 who had been with me the whole time. This happened yesterday. I was like, guys, we're going to cancel this because we're coming up with a new offering. And, you know, we've kind of run our course here. Mm-hmm. And I got tears on a Zoom from these people. I'm not kidding. These are people who they've become part of my life every week because we have coaching sessions every week. Yeah. So really leaning into forming my own online community with these group of leaders. They're just leaders from different organizations who it's basically like group therapy. Every week we meet. So we're continuing it because they were like, no. So that's one thing. And then continuing just to bring great content to the Failed It podcast with great guests and just some tips and tricks from our own, knowledge and base of what we've created. And then this is something new that's going to be launching. Maybe when this podcast airs, it will already be launched. I don't know, but this is breaking news. Breaking news. You get it first. You heard it here first on the Happy Hour podcast.
It's happening. It's happening.
Bro, it's happening. 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 So it's called Laugh Break. And basically what it is we have these talented performers who are not performing right now. And so we've piloted this with Pepsi, Viacom, and a trading firm in Chicago. And we are we're creating a platform on our website. So if your team is having a meeting and you want to spice it up a little bit, you go on our site. It's learntoimproveit.com/laughbreak. Which will be live soon. And you pick 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 25 or 30. We jump on the beginning of your Zoom. We provide the Zoom link and you can keep it going the rest of the meeting if you need, but we'll jump on. It's 4 of our improv professionals. We have some fun music in the upfront. And then we learn about your company through a little form on our site. You pay through the site. You tell us the time. We send you the link. We do a quick set of improv and then you go on with your meeting, but we're there to give you a laugh break through whatever it is. So, we're really excited about that. And we've gotten some great pilot tests done. So that'll be coming out in hopefully next week, but when this podcast airs, should be live. So
that's great. I think in business anyways, when you're at the office, you usually get like meeting fatigue, but now on top of that, you're in front of a screen the whole time. And I know everyone's eyes start to get tired and they want to take the break, and they usually do it, in the office with food. And they come in and they're like, okay, here's a lunch break. And everyone kind of takes a pause for a second. And because it's all, digital and video, they're not taking those pauses. And I think this is a great addition and super beneficial for people's working teams to just give them that small break because that's when the ideas really form, right? Yeah. And I think that's going to be a wonderful asset for people in the future. And I'm super glad that you guys came up with this idea. And I'm glad that it's at least working out in your testing, and that it's going to be launching soon, and hopefully this will be aired before then, and so you'll look out for it. And then another question I wanted to have is you talked about your 8 core members that have been following you on the web series. How can people become a member?
Yeah. So if you go to learntoimproveit.com, it's Learn TO. There's a little something there called WFH membership, and it stands for Workshop from Home membership. And so it's literally 3 weeks. Every Tuesday we meet at noon Central for 30 minutes, and I coach them through we have different topics every month. The month of August is going to be about presentation skills, so how to present virtually online. We use Zoom to get on these, obviously Zoom fatigue, but we get on and you get to know people from other companies. It's kind of like I said, group therapy. Yeah. So they are such an amazing group. I was really blown away by that. So we were going to discontinue, and now we're continuing. So please join. Yeah. And then, it's very like a nominal fee to join. So have them come out. And then the Field It podcast is on iTunes and anywhere you find podcasts. You didn't ask me to plug my stuff. I'm just keeping going. Should I keep going? Okay. Hey,
tell us where to find you, what to do, where we go, do.
Okay. Learn2improveit.com, learntoimproveit.com. On Instagram, or Learn to Improve It. I am at Keeping It Real Deal, DIEHL. Okay. And then you can find the Failed It podcast episodes on anywhere that you listen to podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Android, all of those things. And come just check us out. We would love to do a virtual event for you, a laugh break, have you join the membership, podcast, all the things.
Absolutely. And we'll make sure that we put all of that in the credits as well as in the copy, so that everyone knows that they can be a part of your group. And then, Erin, thank you so much for spending a little bit of your time with me.
Yeah, Amanda, it was my pleasure, and it's so fun to see you.
Routine.
I know. I'm parenting in a pandemic as well, so I'm a working parent right now. So I have baby duties next.
Oh man, I actually have a friend that they're starting to work from home, and they realized that their baby that they had during back in March hasn't actually seen the world without parents in the house the whole time, and they're like, I know. Oh man. When work actually starts back, this is going to be
it's gonna be hard.
Rude awakening for the babies.
I know, and plus, like they're not seeing other kids unless they're going. No. Mine isn't. So no. I'm like, is he gonna be just like a recluse? Is he, But he's got a fun little jovial spirit, so I feel like he'll be fine. It's just going to take some easing back in,
I love it. Not a problem.
Well, I love you, Amanda.
I love you too.
So fun. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. We should do a little dance off. This is a little outro music.